She only had $5 left. It was all she had for food, for survival. But when she saw a hungry man on the street, she didn't hesitate. She gave it away. Little did she know, this one act of kindness would come back to her in a way she never imagined. Days later, there was a knock at her door, and what happened next left her speechless. Stay tuned for an incredible story of generosity, fate, and a shocking twist. Margaret was an 82-year-old widow who had lived a simple life. With no family left and a small pension barely covering her expenses, she had learned to stretch every dollar. But no matter how little she had, she always believed in kindness. One evening, as she was walking home from the grocery store, she noticed a man sitting on the sidewalk. His clothes were torn, his face looked tired, and his eyes carried a quiet desperation. She had seen him before, always sitting in the same spot, hoping for a little mercy from passers-by. Margaret paused. She reached into her purse and felt the crumpled $5 bill, the last bit of money she had until her next check came in. She hesitated for a moment, and then she stepped forward and handed it to him. "Here, son," she said softly. "Get yourself something warm to eat." The man's eyes widened. "Ma'am, you don't have to do this." Margaret smiled. "Everyone needs a little kindness. Just pay it forward someday." The man nodded, his voice breaking. "Thank you. I won't forget this." And with that, Margaret walked away, never expecting to see him again. Days passed, and Margaret forgot about the encounter. She went about her usual routine, but things were getting harder. The bills were piling up, and her pantry was almost empty. She started to wonder if she had made a mistake giving away that last $5. One afternoon, as she sat by her window drinking tea, she heard a knock at the door. Margaret rarely had visitors. Confused, she slowly made her way to the door and opened it. Standing before her was a well-dressed man in a tailored suit. His hair was neatly combed, his face was clean-shaven, and his eyes were familiar. "Ma'am," he said, his voice warm but emotional. "Do you remember me?" Margaret squinted, trying to place him. And then it hit her. It was the same man from the sidewalk, but he looked completely different. You're the man from the street," she whispered. He nodded, smiling. "Yes. My name is Jonathan, and I owe everything to you." Margaret invited him inside, still in shock. As they sat at the small kitchen table, Jonathan took a deep breath and began to explain. "You didn't know this, but that night I had given up," he admitted. "I had lost everything, my job, my home, my dignity. That $5 wasn't just money. It was hope. It reminded me that there were still good people in the world. And because of that, I decided to turn my life around." Margaret listened, her eyes wide. "But how?" Jonathan chuckled. "Before I lost everything, I was an entrepreneur. I had built businesses, led companies, but I made mistakes. I trusted the wrong people and I ended up with nothing. But that night, after you helped me, I went to a shelter, cleaned myself up, and reached out to an old friend. He helped me get back on my feet. And now, I'm back where I used to be, running my own company." Margaret covered her mouth in disbelief. "That's wonderful, dear. But why are you here?" Jonathan smiled, then reached into his briefcase and pulled out an envelope. "Because now it's my turn to help you." Margaret hesitated before taking the envelope. When she opened it, her hands started to shake. Inside was a check for $50,000. She gasped. "Oh no, I can't accept this." Jonathan shook his head. "Yes, you can, and you will. Because you taught me that kindness isn't about how much you have, it's about what you're willing to give. You changed my life with just $5, and now I want to change yours." Tears welled up in Margaret's eyes. "But I didn't do anything special." Jonathan smiled. To me, you did. You gave me hope when I had none. And now, I want you to live the rest of your life without worry." Margaret wiped her tears and looked at the check. She never expected that one small act of kindness would come back to her in such an unbelievable way. Margaret's story is proof that kindness always finds its way back. Sometimes, the smallest gestures, giving a meal, offering a kind word, or sharing what little we have, can change someone's life forever. And when you least expect it, life has a way of rewarding those who give without expecting anything in return. So the next time you have a chance to help someone, ask yourself, what if this small act could change everything? If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more heartwarming real-life stories. What would you do in Margaret's situation? Let us know in the comments.